New Zealand is a seriously amazing place to travel with so many hidden gems, bucket list experiences, and incredible landscapes. The North and the South Islands both offer something completely unique, so whether you're a Kiwi like us taking the chance to properly immerse in your own country or you're taking notes for when borders open, we've got you covered for both.
We're Dane and Stacey, and in the last year we've probably spent more time on the road filming and exploring New Zealand than at home. Amazing! New Zealand's so pretty. So in this video we want to share our top 10 experiences in the South Island.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Kicking off number 1 with our most recent favourite, which will be in a vlog soon. This experience is what happens when you combine bubbles, a helicopter, epic views, and an Alpine snow landing.
We went on an Alpine snow landing tour from Queenstown, and it's something we'll never forget. After meeting our pilot and going over the safety procedures, we boarded the Eurocopter and headed towards the mountains. There's no words to describe the scenery and the feeling of being surrounded by huge, snow-capped mountains from every angle.
Oh, this is dream. Bottle this up and take it home. Over-the-top helicopters seemed like the best from my research because they actually switched off the engines once we landed, which meant we could pop some bubbles, snap some photos, and take in the surroundings in pure silence. Look at the state of the...
Pro tip. As with all things weather dependent, keep your timings flexible. We had to reschedule twice to find the right break in the weather and would have been absolutely gutted to miss this one.
Speaking of bubbles, welcome to wine country.
Can't forget the wine.
Cheers. Pinot Gris. Marlborough is New Zealand's largest and arguably most famous wine growing region. With over 30,000 hectares of vines and more than 30 cellar doors in Blenheim alone, it's no surprise this is the place to booze and cruise your way around in a really unique way.
I think it's just about enjoying.
Cruising and drinking responsibly.
Exactly. Yeah, we've signed a waiver, as everybody has to.
We did a 3-hour self-guided bike tour with Explore Marlborough, and it was honestly one of the best tours we've ever done. After picking up our bikes and helmets, we were given a wine trail map and some final words of encouragement. From there, you basically pick the vineyards and cellar doors that match up with your taste, mark them up on the map, and hit the road.
Woo! Oh wow, one hand off already?
With every tasting, our confidence on the bike seemed to grow, and before we knew it, we'd gone from newbies to looking like we were competing in the Tour de France. Jokes aside though, this is an amazing way to taste your way around the region, discover smaller wineries, learn loads about Marlborough wine, meet the makers, and have silly amounts of fun.
Pro tip. Book the full day self-guided tour even if you don't need all that time. That way you get a free pickup and drop off. Then you don't have the annoyance of booking taxis to shuttle you and your boozy friends home.
Seeing a sperm whale up close and witnessing the iconic tail dive down into the water will both slow down time and speed up your heart rate. Kaikoura is the home of whale watching in New Zealand. The unique landscapes attract resident sperm whales year-round, so the chances of sightings are high, and it's something you will not want to miss.
Hold on to your hats.
We opted for the Captain's Cabin experience with Whale Watch Kaikoura, which is basically the business class of whale watching and worth every cent. We're talking priority boarding, exclusive viewing lounge, air conditioning, and reclining seats. And rather than being shoulder to shoulder with 100 friends, there's only 12 people.
We hit the jackpot and spotted a bunch of different wildlife, including a massive pod of playful dusky dolphins, a blue whale, and loads of different birds. It took a while, but we eventually got the moment we'd been waiting for, watching a sperm whale dive, showing off its iconic tail on the way down.
I just feel really at peace right now. Just see this.
It was the most surreal experience, and it's something that has really stuck with us.
Pro tip. If you're not a fan of the motion in the ocean, make sure you pack your sea bands or something to help you with seasickness because it can get a little rough out there.
The word hike puts a lot of people off, but don't let that stop you from checking out the Hooker Valley Track in the Mount Cook National Park. It's one of the most popular short walks in the country, and for good reason. It's an easy 3-hour return trip that's more of a casual walk through some dreamy landscapes, so whether you're 6 years old or 66, this one is worth it.
But look at this! I don't know if there's many other places in the world that you can do something like this, but let's say it again, I'm just so proud that this is New Zealand.
Wow! As a bonus, to reach the starting point at White Horse Hill Campground, you need to drive around Lake Pukaki, one of the most beautiful scenic roads in the country. Once there, the 5-kilometre trek heads towards Mount Cook, New Zealand's highest mountain.
We love how varied the track and the views are. There's boardwalks, swing bridges, and loads of lookout points to stop at along the way. The end of the track has a glacial lake, so in winter it's like another world.
Whoa, look down there!
Man,
Oh, we're literally in Antarctica right now.
I feel like there could just be a penguin just floating around on one of those.
I wish, that would be cool.
We did our part to rescue a few rogue icebergs and have heard stories of people crazy enough to even swim out there. We've done this walk a few times now and can confirm it's 100% one of the best walks to show off how amazing the South Island is, regardless of the season.
Pro tip. The weather's unpredictable in the park. You might experience 4 seasons in one day and it could turn out way colder or even hotter than you thought. If it's a nice day, pack some cheeky treats to enjoy lakeside before you make your way back.
The next experience goes one better. Rather than walk to a glacial lake,
The glacier!
why not walk on a glacier? But before that, a quick thanks to today's sponsor, Squarespace. We've been using and recommending Squarespace for years, so if you're looking to create a website, start selling online, or finally build your blog, there's no better time than now. We love how incredibly easy it is to use, and the back-end layout is just as beautiful as the huge collection of award-winning templates. You can literally get started in minutes with a fully responsive site and then customize and perfect as much or as little as you'd like. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use our link in the description, squarespace.com/D&S for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Easily one of the highlights from both seasons of Reveal NZ was the Fox Glacier Heli Hike. This is the ultimate bucket list experience, and you can't visit the West Coast glacier country without getting up close and personal with a glacier, whether it's Fox or Franz Josef.
The Flying Fox Heli Hike is an epic 2-for-1 experience. Starting off with a scenic heli flight up through the mountains before an awesomely sketchy ice landing, chucking on some crampons and hiking around on a glacier.
How you going?
I'm doing duck feet in my crampons. Once we met our guides, had a safety briefing, and rugged up in some warmer gears, we got the green light to head out to the helipad.
The flight up the mountain was absolutely unreal and felt like something out of Jurassic Park. Once the helicopter left, it was completely silent, and it finally hit us that we were on top of a glacier.
We are on a glacier. Fox Glacier.
Man.
That happened so quickly.
We spent the next few hours climbing over crevasses, slipping and sliding our way through pressure arches,
I'm just pushing myself through.
Oh my gosh.
and exploring all over, before the heli returned and we headed back down to solid ground.
Pro tip. Make sure you have some flexibility in your travel plans because the West Coast weather is crazy unpredictable and you might end up having to wait a few days like we did.
This one's a bit of a 2-for-1 because some of the most beautiful beaches in New Zealand are in Abel Tasman National Park, and it also happens to be home to one of the 10 best hikes in New Zealand. These iconic tracks are grouped together in what's called Great Walks, and the South Island is home to 6 of them.
We're a lot higher than we thought we were going to be. Mate.
With only one day, you can see the beaches, kayak and hike a small portion of the track. But the absolute best way to see what Abel Tasman really has to offer is with a multi-day hike. We did a 3-day guided hike with Wilsons and it was everything we hoped for and more.
Woo!
Woo! Pretty!
All right.
Over the 3 days, we walked about 50 kilometres, lost count of how many swims, and mixed things up by walking solo at times and others with our guide. If the thought of hiking put you off earlier, this part won't because it's a pretty bougie tour.
Breakfast, lunch and 3-course dinners were included, and our bags were transferred to our premium lodges each day, so all we had to carry was our day pack.
Pro tip. If you're new to multi-day hikes, definitely consider doing it with a guide to take the pressure off and figure out how things work before you do it alone.
Like historic lodges on the beaches of Abel Tasman, New Zealand has a load of really unique accommodation options that you just can't skip. Kiwis have a reputation for their ingenuity, and it would be a real shame to explore the South Island and sleep in that one hotel chain that you know of.
We can't specifically say where you should stay, but rather than add on that package hotel, Google the most unique accommodation in the area, research some hidden gems, look into glamping, dig pages deep into Airbnb and see what you can find. By doing this, we found converted nightclubs, tiny homes on the beach, and New Zealand's first smart hotel, along with loads of others.
Oh! How cool is that?
Wait, I'm going to change it again. What would you like?
At the top end of the scale, we've experienced elegance on the lake near Arrowtown, 5-star resorts and hidden coves on the Milford Sounds, and stuff dreams are made of, a luxury tree hut in Franz Joseph. One of the more memorable stays was a recent one at Jailhouse Accommodation in Christchurch. What used to be an old prison has now been converted into an award-winning hostel that you'll either love or hate.
No.
Oh, it's so grim. The accommodation in New Zealand can be pricey, so this is an awesome experience to show a different kind of side of things, a backpacker's budget.
This is brilliant.
Is it? Pro tip. These types of accommodations tend to book out pretty quickly, especially on weekends and during school holidays, so it's best to make a reservation in advance. Next up, a place that has to be seen to be believed, the Milford Sound. Tucked away in Fiordland National Park, Milford Sound is one of the most famous natural attractions in the country.
Well, I've made it to Milford Sound and it just does not look real.
There are loads of different ways to see the sounds, but because we were short on time, we did a return coach cruise kayak tour from Queenstown. The 5-hour bus trip there was scenic, so went quite quickly, and on arrival, we were straight onto the boat to see the sounds. It was a 2-hour nature cruise featuring our first glacial facial under a 150-metre waterfall. After getting up close and personal with the famous Milford waterfalls, we jumped in our kayak and got to explore on the crystal clear glacial water. Then it was the long trip back to Queenstown.
Pro tip. There's heaps of options to see the sounds in different ways. If you've got the budget, definitely book a flight or heli on the way back to save the slow return drive. You'll get to see the sounds from a different perspective and get back to the pub or restaurant hours before anyone else.
Speaking of food and drink, if you're anything like us, planning an amazing trip always involves finding out what food absolutely cannot be missed. There are so many destination-based eats scattered throughout the entire South Island, so similar to accommodation, a cheeky Google search will point you in the right direction. But here's a quick list of some of our location-based faves.
On the topic of Queenstown, Ferg Burger is iconic for a reason. Phone in your order like a local to skip the line and embrace the Ferg.
It's worth it. It's actually worth the hype, but really juicy. There's so much filling in there, like a smoky, barbecue-y kind of flavour to it. I feel like this is going to keep me full for 2 days, so if you consider that, it's probably worth it.
Whitebait sandwich. While the West Coast is the gold standard, beggars can't be choosers. You need to try this Kiwi classic. It's a polarizing meal though, so you'll either love it or hate it, but there's only one way to find out. Oh my god.
See the grittiness? Bluff oysters in, Bluff. Our research led us to Fowler's, but there's plenty of other suggestions around there. These are the Rolls Royce of oysters in New Zealand. Order them fresh or battered and don't miss out on the fish and chips.
Genuinely, I have never, ever tasted an oyster that good.
As a donut connoisseur, I know a good donut when I spot one, and the Smoking Barrel in Motueka is a big tick from us. If you're feeling wild or have both breakfast and dinner cravings at the same time, roll the dice and get the cheeseburger donut.
Oh my god!
It's got pickles in it.
Crayfish from Nin's Bin in Kaikoura is an absolute must. Buttery cray with chips by the sea from a historic food truck. Mills Bay in Havelock is yet another seafood gem from our recent trip. If mussels are your thing, then Mills Bay is for sure your thing.
Wine and beer. There's too many places to name, but the South Island is home to some of New Zealand's most popular wine. With the quality of hops coming out of a few select regions, it's also a craft beer haven.
Strangely, the Catlins has only really come onto the radar for us in the past few years. Maybe it's just really underrated, maybe it's because we're essentially Aucklanders, but tucked away at the bottom of the South Island, the Catlins is known for its insane natural beauty, rugged coastline, and rare wildlife.
A trip to the Catlins is all about getting knee-deep in nature, so our first stop was Nugget Point, an easy 900-metre walk which took us out to one of New Zealand's oldest lighthouses. Captain James Cook, he saw these rocks in the water that looked like nuggets of gold, so he named this Nugget Point. And this is Nugget Point Lighthouse behind us. Sitting high above the coast, the lighthouse itself isn't overly exciting, but where it sits and the weather it's endured on the point is insane. Speaking of weather, it put a bit of a down buzz on our trip, but there were still some great highlights.
Putakaunui Falls is a 3-tiered waterfall at the end of a really short native bushwalk that Stacey really loved.
This might be the prettiest waterfall I've ever seen.
The Petrified Forest is a 170 million year old forest that's been fossilized in the rocks, something that we've never seen anywhere else in the world.
Look,
What is it?
this is a log.
Whoa! That is an entire tree!
And if you're lucky, unlike us, literally always, you might even spot one of the world's rarest penguins at Curio Bay.
Pro tip. Plan your visit in the spring or summer to make the most of it. Weather in the off-season is wild and exposed down there. A lot of things are closed during winter, so it's worth visiting when you'll be able to experience everything the Catlins has to offer.
And that's 10 of our favourite experiences in the South Island. Thanks for sticking with us through this long video. We have got plenty more videos of all of the different things we've spoken about across our channel. If you'd like even more local knowledge, be sure to keep an eye on our New Zealand travel guide as well.
See you in the next video, part 2, focusing on the North Island.